Welcome to Legal Fashionista, the Sara Shulevitz show. Today we are very excited to have an amazing guest with us, Miss Traci Walls. How are you?
I'm fine. Happy to be here.
We're so happy to have you. Tell me about the amazing work that you do.
Well, I've been feeding the homeless since 1998,
Wow.
all through the grace of God. And I started helping the youth in the community that had misfortunes and didn't have parents around. I began to help in the community, and a lot of the youth that I know now, with the movement that I'm doing now, have lost their lives.
Wow.
And mainly through gang violence or violence,
Wow.
you know, should we say. And it came into my heart through God to do this walk and do something that could help to stop the violence.
Wow, this is such a cause that's close to my heart. You know, I was a prosecutor and I switched sides to be a public defender, which in Miami, which is the equivalent of legal aid here. And I was also in juvenile court,
Wow.
you know, on both sides. And it's so sad. And now doing criminal defense, I see so many young lives affected by violence. And so what are you doing? You're amazing.
Yeah,
But
well, it's not me. It's myself and people like you, and you know, our people all over this country that are fighting. And we need to all come together. We're doing a walk. Well, we've done a walk. We're doing more events, and we did a walk in Manhattan. It was great.
I heard it was wonderful.
Yes, and we're asking the city to give the abandoned buildings to the youth all across the country, really, but in New York first. We're going to rehab the buildings and send the children to the youth to etiquette skill, give them etiquette skills, sharing skills, and then train them in their business venture.
Wow. And I grew up here in New York, so I know how important that is to give, you know, the young generation hope and things to look forward to.
Yes.
And now, in terms of the walk, I heard it was very successful.
Yes, there were there was at least 4,000 people.
And are you planning on doing more events like that in the future?
Yes, this will be an annual. This was the
wonderful.
first annual, and we'll do it yearly.
In terms of shelter for the young people, about giving them spaces to live, tell me about that.
It's not a shelter. We're asking for the buildings. We're not asking
Right.
for the homes. We want to give them an allotment to share in groups of four.
Wow.
We're asking all the professionals to teach them and train them
Wow.
pro bono.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Yes.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
and they're going to sign a contract saying they'll be mentors for the rest of their life,
That's
as long as
wonderful.
they're physically and mentally capable in New York City, or they forfeit the contract.
Wow. And that they give back to the next generation.
Yes.
And also what's wonderful about that is I remember from when I was a public defender, a lot of people would end up young people would get rearrested because they had no home to go to.
Yeah.
And it's very sad, but they felt that in jail they would at least have 3 meals a day and have shelter. So I understand that your program is helping
This will help.
to give them a future.
Yes, where we can
Outside
stop
of jail.
recidivism.
Yeah.
Yes.
Recidivism is
Yes.
horrible.
Yes, yes, and I don't see a lot of programs that give the youth something that they can hold on to for the rest of their lives, and in this they will be able to do that. You know,
Right.
if they're honest and they continue to follow through with the contract, become mentors, and we see that they're doing, you know, what they're supposed to do, they get to have the buildings in groups of four.
How did you get into this work?
Well, like I said, I don't know if I said it to you already. I had a restaurant in Queens. There were many youths that would come to my restaurant to buy my food, and I'd be speaking to them about school. And after they gotten killed, I didn't know that they didn't have parents until they were, you know, until they had their death. So I said, there's many children that we don't realize they're orphans and they don't have parents, and we're the adults.
Yeah.
You know, how can anyone call you Mr. or Mrs. and you're not capable of being acknowledged that way?
I remember when I was a state attorney in juvenile court, before I went to the adult felony court, I remember that some of the defendants, they had no one to be custody released to. No one would pick them up from court, and they would have to sit in juvenile jail and sometimes be transferred to adult jail, and it was heartbreaking.
Yes, we don't realize how many youth we have in this country that don't have parents.
Yeah, I saw it every day as a prosecutor, and that's why I felt that I had to go into defense.
That's the humane thing to do, for us to defend the youth. You know, it's our duty as citizens in this country. You know.
Wow.